Good day and welcome. This is Small Biz David, and we're here for day 2 of our discussion of small business questions. If you know me very well, you know that I love questions. I think that we should always be questioning what it is that we're doing, why are we doing it, and what's the best way to get it done. That's the ongoing process of businesses. And 7 years ago, I wrote a book, How Do You Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business? And I got tremendous feedback from that book. I wrote it as a workbook. I wrote it so the small business owner could go through the book, and we divided it into 5 different chapters. They could go through and pick out those questions that were key. Now, all 749 questions obviously were important to me. They aren't necessarily important to you and what it is that you do in your business, but most of them will be. Particularly the ones that are marketing and sales oriented, because that is my small business expertise. That's what I've been doing for over 40 years. Solving marketing and sales problems and challenges for small businesses. One of the things that small business owners don't do a very good job with, if I can end my partial sentence in a preposition, is truly take a look at their business, stepping away from it. Not while you're intimately involved in things, but stepping away, taking time away, and asking yourself the questions with honest answers. They have to be honest, because if they aren't, your business is not going to move forward. I recommend that it's an ongoing process. I do it every day of my life, but that's just the way I am and the way that I deal with things. But as far as your business is concerned, it's extremely important that you do this at the end of the year so that you can analyze those things that you focused on, in this case 2014. What worked for you? What did you do well? What do you need to fine-tune to take into 2015? What didn't work well for you? And I challenge any small business owner to show me that all the things that they did worked extremely well. It doesn't work that way. So I recommend that you do it in at least the last 100 days of the year. Essentially towards the end of September. But I wanted to get a kickstart this year. I wanted to get it started a little bit sooner. And from today, there are 121 days left in the year. So I wanted to take the first 3 days of September and come up with some questions. And the feedback that I'm getting on these is probably going to go beyond the first 3 days, as I have set it up for this week. As a matter of fact, I know it's going to go beyond, because my friend Vivek, who is in our lower third panel, I mentioned something yesterday, and we got involved in a discussion, which is okay. We got involved in a discussion kind of separate from the questions that were being asked. And there's nothing wrong with that, because out of that discussion came some good points to be thinking about in our businesses as we move forward into 2015. But I showed a chart that had 22 boxes on it.
Oh, David has just dropped out. Oh, he's back again. David, what happened? You dropped out and...
My browser crashed.
Oh, anyway, okay.
No, could you? Well, I guess I'm still on. It said this session ended, but it doesn't look like it ended.
No, we are still on. At least for me,
Okay.
it shows it is still live. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, because the stop broadcast button is still there, so that means we're on. Okay. Where I left off before the browser crashed was I showed this chart yesterday, and it was fully my intent to go over each one of those 22 boxes on there because it's the best model, mind map, if you will, of marketing and that I've ever seen. I don't think they missed anything on this chart. And I saw it for the first time about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've referenced it over the last couple years. But on Thursday, I'm going to hit as many of these boxes as I can, Vivek, on a I don't know, we'll go 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. We'll hit as many boxes as we can, and if we don't hit them all in one day, we'll go to the next day and hit them.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Which is sometimes even a better approach.
Yeah.
Give them a reason to come back.
Yeah.
So that's the approach we're going to take now. Actually, Vivek and William Rock, also known as Bill Rock, but not known as Billy Rock, left me a chat message that he's going to be leaving soon. Are you still there, Bill? All I see is your profile picture.
I'm just enjoying learning. That's all.
Oh, okay. Do you want to say something before you have to leave? Tell anybody viewing what it is you do and what you have going on tomorrow, which is extremely exciting, what you have going on tomorrow. You might have half the world there tomorrow listening to your HOA.
It's growing pretty quick, isn't it? I'm very proud of that. The fact that people are wanting to learn about security and actually protecting their company based off our conversation yesterday. So I'm William Rock. I do a lot of crazy stuff. I'm a geek, and well, that sums it up.
Where our friend Phil Boyer likes to break the rules. He likes to break marketing rules. And actually, I'm doing an HOA with Phil tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I just I forgot about that. I'm doing 2 HOAs tomorrow.
Wow,
One, we'll continue our discussion from today, and also Phil has a book coming out that we're going to talk about tomorrow. But Phil likes to break the rules in marketing. The reason I bring that up, William Rock likes to not necessarily break the rules in technology, but help people understand the rules of technology and all the crazy things that happen. And I see him as he chats with folks and talks to folks and responds to folks in his event stream. He always is actually, you've got a hashtag #PoundTeach. Is that one of your hashtags?
I've got quite a bit, but I think that's got Go Teach, or there's a whole bunch of other ones I've got, but it's starting out. I mean, basically, I'm just trying to go out and teach as much as I can, and there's so much going on with the Google world, but also with the security world. Like you mentioned yesterday about the Target hack and little things like, okay, I'm going to put a server in my office. What do I do? And how do I protect the rest of my office? And those
Let me answer that question.
Say again?
I said I'm going to put a server in my office, and Bill Rock said yesterday, maybe you shouldn't put a server in your office, David. Well, I can always put the server in the office. Whether or not I make it operable or not, that's another consideration.
Well, like I said before, the offer still stands. I will be hosting your website for you, so on my secure platform. You'll get a chance to see tomorrow on the show. I'm hoping to get Adam Ward, the CEO of Admo.net, So I'll be hearing from him today to verify if he's going to be a guest on the show.
Real quickly, before you have to leave, Bill, what are the three most important things that you do when you say you've got a secure server? What are the three most important things you do to guarantee that you have a secure server?
One of many is I've been working with so many data centers in the past through the history back to 1998. I was actually working with an ISP way back in the day with dial-up. So my history goes quite far back, but my tips would be really to look at the data center, look at who's in the data center, look at the facility, look at the actual security around the facility if you can. Most people don't have that privilege to do that if they're actually hosting, like say at GoDaddy or another vendor. But when you step into a secure environment like a bank would have, okay, and we're going to actually be showing that off a little bit tomorrow, and actually in the intro video, you can actually see a couple of clips of the data center that I'm actually in. It's a brand. It's been there for quite some time. It's been going through a couple different revamps, but there's no way you can blow the walls. There's no way you can drop in from the top or the bottom. You can't even get to the 11th floor without having security clearance to go to that floor. So it's pretty tight.
I don't know if I'm giving away some information, confidential information. I sent a message to you yesterday. I'm sure you saw it, that the company that my son works for, one of my sons, he's the chief marketing officer for a company that does electrical contracting. And one of the areas that they have really focused on, well, they do a lot of hospital work, okay, and that's very complicated electrical. I mean, there's no more complicated electrical than a hospital, just because of all the things that go on in a hospital. But his company a couple years ago really started focusing on data centers. They love the concept of a data center because it's a square building. That's about it, and all the wires go into a square building or a rectangular building.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so his company has, I don't think I should mention the name of the clients that I know,
No.
but one happens to be a very large social network. That's all I'll say. So they do quality work if they're able to meet the specs, do an RFP. And that's my son's job in the company, is to respond to RFP for the building of data centers.
Well, we might have to get your son on the show.
I don't think my son. Well, he's never been on one of my shows. I don't think he's ever watched one of my HOAs. And when I'm gone, he's going to inherit all this mess. So he ought to familiarize himself with it, don't you think?
You know what? It's not a bad idea. You know, with the technology that he's already wrapped around, this might be a good thing for him to learn.
I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of both my sons, but Jordan is the chief marketing officer, and he's only 26 years old, or 27 years old, and literally his last quarter in college, he one of his professors said to him, "You need to go talk to my husband about marketing." So he went, and her husband hired him to be an intern his last quarter in college, and he's been there since the last 5 years. So it's been a great opportunity for him. But he's taught me some things about data center. I'll leave it at this. I said to him about a year ago, I think it'd be a really neat thing if he and I worked on a data center project together. And you know, I did it on behalf of small business. Maybe that can become true with getting you in the mix of things.
Well, you know, I'm going to introduce you to some of the big guys. So you're going to be on the show as the co-host. So I mean, you're going to be right in the guts and glory of this thing.
So maybe something will evolve, but we'll see. But William, if you have to run, you said you had to. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you for sure, if not sooner, tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day with me in HOAs. Only 3 of them tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the first time you actually got to see my other office.
Yes.
So I'm out of the home office, and I'm actually in my other office at Brandon and Brandon. So this is where I spend a little bit more of my time than just on Google Plus.
I think I like that office a little bit better, William. I think I like it a little bit better.
It's got the cool stuff all over the walls. So it's
Yeah,
like,
particularly that piece of art back there behind you. Okay, Vivek, why don't you introduce yourself and share with folks why you're here today?
I'm here to learn, as William said. So you are the master. So teach me.
The master. Uh-oh. It sounds like it's something with a lot of obligation to it. I don't know if I'm the master, Vivek, but I love what I'm doing. I've been doing it for a long time. In 40 years, 40 plus years, you have a lot of experiences. I made this statement yesterday as I held up this chart, this graph of infographic of 22 different things I've done. I've done every single thing on that chart. So I've done it for myself. I've done it on behalf for clients over the years. So I enjoy doing it, and I love challenges. And you heard me say it yesterday, and I'll say it again today. If I don't have the answer, which I feel is the best answer I can possibly give you, I will direct you to a resource that will give you the best answer. And I'm very confident. I like to say that satisfaction is always guaranteed, Vivek. Always. Okay, let's get down to some questions. And let me go over here and ask the questions exactly how I have them. Question number 1 is, oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I'll never find it that way. Question number 1 is, how many of the 10 mandatory sales disciplines created by Anthony Iannino do you employ? Now, that's kind of an open-ended question because most people probably don't know who he is, and it's more important than who he is he does a great job in doing weekly blogs on mostly sales. And the reason that I've asked 2 sales questions today, and here's why, Vivek. Most companies, large companies more so than smaller companies, separate the functions of marketing and sales.
Yeah.
They make them, for whatever stupid reason, they make them separate functions instead of fully integrated functions to simplify and integrate. You like those words, don't you? And I got a cute story that I like to tell about marketing and sales. In the mid 80s, I had a direct mail client, and they had 750 convenience stores, and they were positioned number 1 in the regions where they had their stores. They were the dominant player in those regions, and they started in Ohio. 25 miles away from where I was born was their corporate offices, and they had a brand that was extremely well known, but they had as they were growing, they had a very difficult time finding finding a way to take their message out cost efficiently, their marketing message out cost efficiently to reach all their stores, because they'd have some stores in this market, some stores in this market, and they couldn't buy television. Although, well, they did buy television, but television wasn't the best efficient buy for them. gave them a lot of penetration, but it isolated how they did their message. So when I went in there with, and newspapers are pretty much the same, although they could buy a newspaper ad in every city, every market where they had a store, because there were in those days there were newspapers in every store. They could buy radio in all those markets, but like television, radio became a difficult, not totally efficient buy for them. Got good coverage, but not the best efficiencies. So when I came in with a direct mail concept, their mouths dropped open, and I could give them penetration in a 5-mile radius or 5,000 stores. I could take each one of their stores, and I could mail to the 5,000 households closest to that store. I had the capabilities to do that, and they were just, their mouths dropped wide open. Anyways, we had a very, very successful program that ran for a couple years, and I moved away from the program. But for 3 years, it was crazy what was going on. They were in the front end of the program. They were seeing double-digit increases every time they dropped a piece of direct mail. So obviously, it was something that was great. Now, the reason I'm telling the story about them, they were the most disorganized company I've ever seen in my life. The most disorganized company. Great brand, but very disorganized. The one thing that they have done better than any other company that I've ever seen in all of my years, in 1985, which is what, 30 years ago, the first time I went into their offices, on the door it said marketing and sales. They're the only company that I have ever seen that said marketing and sales. And my major contact, well, he wasn't my major contact, but he was the decision maker for the group, was the VP of marketing and sales. So when I met with him, he sent me off to his lieutenants to execute the program. Great program. They integrated marketing and sales better than anybody I've seen. Okay. There's the moral to that story, if you will. Small businesses must figure out how to integrate your marketing and sales. You do it for efficiency purposes. You do it to get the best return on your investment. There are many choices that you can make on how to spend your time, how to spend your dollars, whatever available resources that you have. You have to figure out what is the best for you. Because it's the best for you doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best for everybody else. In fact, I would never necessarily sell, if you will, my business model, my marketing and sales model to other folks. It works well for me because it fits my personality perfectly. But that doesn't mean it's going to work well for other folks. I spend all of my time, 100% of my time, in Google+. Period. Why? Because it works for me. I have a Facebook profile. I have a LinkedIn profile. I have a Twitter profile. As a matter of fact, at one time, out of a clear blue, I had 8,000 Twitter followers. I don't know if I ever told you that, Vivek. And the only communication that I do, anytime I do a YouTube, a link to that YouTube automatically goes to Facebook, automatically goes to LinkedIn, automatically goes to Twitter. That's the only thing that I do. Now, am I wrong in what I do? Probably. Would I change what I'm doing to do it right? No, because it will take more time, and I'm making most efficient use of my time, and I get that from Google+. I'd like to hear your comment on that, because you are knowledgeable not only about Google+, where you and I both spend a lot of time, but you spend time in other social, well, you know what? I don't know how much time you do spend on other social media. You want to talk about that for a moment, Vivek?
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time on no, not much on. I do spend bit on LinkedIn. I do use occasionally Twitter. Uh, Facebook, not much at all. Um, so it's hard to respond to your question. Do I spend? No, not much.
Well, maybe a better way to ask the question is, why do you spend so much time on Google Plus? Maybe that's a better question to ask.
Um, yeah, the first one, first reason being it's Google, and they the reason why I prefer Google is because Google also says does a lot of things to integrate a lot of things. So in that sense, it goes well with my integrate, simplify life theme. So
Okay, fair enough. Let's get right into 10 mandatory sales disciplines, written
yeah,
by.
I am actually as you were talking earlier. I actually did a Google search on 10 mandatory principles, and I'm actually posting them onto the stream, event stream.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm gonna get into them while you're working on that.
Yeah.
Actually, interesting enough, the very first one, and let me also share real quickly the reason that I'm posing all these questions, hoping that you will consider these questions and hundreds more questions as you analyze what's working for you in 2014 and changes you need to make for 2015. We are going to be having workshops inside of our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs in Google Plus communities. There will be a charge for those workshops, and I'll explain that later, but your satisfaction is guaranteed. And also too, every one of the workshop groups are going to be limited to 10 participants, with one of the 10 being me, because I'm going to be facilitating every single one of the workshops to make sure they flow as they need to flow. But you can take the questions that I'm presenting with answers and then ask your own questions, but hopefully you will bring your questions that are unique to your business, so that we can brainstorm great answers for you as a group. You'll get my perspective on them, and maybe you will get the perspective of the other 9 members, 8 members of the group. Okay, so that's the concept of the workshop. Plus, each one of the workshops will be publishing an ebook, a collaborative ebook with all the participants in the workshop working together in a fashion, and we'll explain it to you, to create an ebook. And the group will share in any revenues generated by the ebook. So you will get your $99 workshop fee back by just the marketing and selling of that ebook, plus all the valuable information you're going to get. Okay, 10 mandatory sales disciplines. Number 1, what's the first one? Vivek, closing. Asking what the next steps are. Never, ever leave a sales discussion with a group, with another individual, with a client, with a prospect, without asking what are the next steps. And as I shared this information with Vivek yesterday or the day before, he came back with a great comment that he read one time in all the reading and learning that he's done over the years that there is only two results to a sales meeting. It's either yes or it's no. I don't agree with him 100% because I believe that a no basically means the individual receiving the no hasn't given enough information to receive a yes. That's kind of how I believe. So something to work on. Number two, mandatory sales discipline, prospecting. Oh my goodness, you're not going to get a sale until you prospect for that sale. And prospecting is very well, in a sense, that technology has made it a more simplified process to prospect for sales. However, what technology hasn't done is bring that whole thing back to you. And what's the best way for you to prospect for new sales, new customers, based upon what it is that your business does and what it is, how you do your business, how you conduct your business. So the prospecting process, there's some general rules for prospecting, but it's got to be drilled down to what works best for you in your business. Number three, nurturing. Nurturing kind of relates to prospecting. When we ask somebody to buy something from us, they aren't going to, very rarely do they buy on a first sales call, if you will. But you know what, Vivek? I was talking about that convenience store company, and I left my first sales call with them with a contract in my hand. Not only a contract in my hand, a first assignment in my hand. They were so excited. Well, they knew what direct mail was, but the fact that I could isolate it to one of their 750 stores, they loved it. So they actually said, okay, David, we'll pay for it, but here's a store where we have problems. So you come back with a direct mail piece that will satisfy some of the challenges that we have in that store, and we'll measure how direct mail can work for us. Well, guess what happened on that one, Vivek? I came back with a postcard. It had 4 items on it. The 4 items were all coupons. So not only were they merchandised, but they were coupon. Guess what? They didn't see 5,000 people in their store, but they saw a whole lot more folks in their store than they had ever seen, just because we were able to isolate it with direct mail. We're going to talk about direct mail in greater detail actually tomorrow, but direct mail has always been one of my favorite forms, if not my favorite form of marketing, because every single direct mail that I've ever done has worked. Now, it might not have produced the total results that I wanted, but what direct mail does is it tells me what's going on and how it's going on based upon response rate. That's how you measure direct mail. Okay, but you have to nurture a new customer, a new prospect. You have to educate them. Nurturing means educating them. Give them enough information so that they want to buy from you. So they have to buy from you because you are providing a solution to a challenge that they have that they can't get anywhere else. That's what it's all about. Okay, number 4, planning. I can't say enough about planning. The planning process never stops. You plan, you execute. If it works, you keep on going. That's part of the plan. If it works, you keep on going. If it doesn't work, part of the plan is how can I fix what it is I need to fix to make it work. Plan. Maybe it's not going to work at all. That's possible. I've had hundreds of things in my lifetime that haven't worked at all. But you don't find anything that works right until you try it, test it, measure the results, and see what happens. Tweak it, fine-tune it, but you know what? If it doesn't work, get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with getting rid of something that doesn't work. delete it and put something that is going to work in its place. Test and measure. Test and measure. Test and measure. The process never stops. It never stops. And when you do stop it, that's when your marketing and sales are going to suffer. Okay, number 5, value creation. Need I say more? If you can't create value in what it is that you do, your product, your service, nobody's going to buy it. There has to be some kind of value. It might be measured in actual dollars. If you spend $1, you'll get $5 back. You know, interesting enough, the 1 to 5 ratio is basically the ratio that I have always used in measuring the success of a marketing promotion. If I spend $1, I need to generate at least $5 in sales. When I can do that, I've said that is a successful promotion. If it goes less than that, I have to figure out how to get it to that. I've had many promotions in my lifetime that have gone beyond the 1 to 5, 5 to 1 ratio. And that's a good thing. That's extra. That's extra money in your pocket, Vivek. But it's a good measurement tool. It's a measurement that has always worked for me. A lot of times you hear response rates. I've never totally bought into response rates. They make sense. A 2% response in direct mail over the years has been deemed a good response. But if it's not a 5 to 1 response, if that 2% response rate doesn't return $5 on $1 invested, then to me it's not a good response rate. It's very possible that less than 2% can generate a 5 to 1 return. That's possible too, but it's a good measuring stick. Caring. Oh my goodness. If your customer, your prospect doesn't feel that you care about them, they're never going to buy from you. They have to like you first, and they have to have a good feeling that you care about their health and welfare, so that they trust you with the money that they give you to make things happen for them in a marketing and sales capacity. But they have to feel that empathy. They have to feel that caring. If they don't, I find it hard to believe that they're going to buy. Integrity. How many times have we run into a marketing and sales situation where there's no care for integrity? No caring whatsoever. Run from those situations. Run from them. But in the same vein, when you approach a client, or a prospect, approach with the highest level of integrity that you possibly can. And you can't be too high. Integrity cannot be too high. It can be lacking very simply, very easily lacking, but there can't be too much integrity. Integrity is one of those things that's ongoing, and it grows. Listening. The old adage, God gave us 2 of these and 1 of these. So you should listen at least twice as much as you talk. I think I said at least. I would have to say that my success over the years in sales have been because I'm a great listener. I can't react. I can't offer a suggestion. I can't offer a solution until I listen, until I understand what it is that they are with which they're being challenged. About a year ago, a company who I will not mention their name, they are absolutely a leader in this industry, in online and work that they do with YouTube. That's all I'm going to say about them. Because I do so many YouTubes, I'm out there and one of their salespeople called me up. They wanted to sell me their services, their analytical services, or their it's kind of SEO services, this, that, and the other. Before I ever was able to share with them challenges that I had, they were offering solutions to me. And I said, well, was that a lack of integrity, Vivek, if they're offering solutions before they know what the challenges are?
I would say they don't they don't know what they're doing.
And they're the largest at what they do. They're the largest company out there doing what they do. But they didn't know what they were doing with me. And even their this is really kind of interesting. While we were talking, first time, the lady asked for my my domain URL. Mm-hmm. Now, she didn't ask anything about my strategy. She just asked for the URL. While we're talking, she runs a report. Her system that she's selling runs a report, and it's showing me how I'm failing.
They are. I think that there's a term here in the UK. I don't know whether it is whether that is used in the States as well. Script kiddies, or someone who goes through a script, and they have a list of they have a checklist. They go on ticking each box, and that's it. That's what they do. And when that happens, I think in any what's the term? Highly trained monkey can do that job.
Highly trained monkey. I met a few highly trained monkeys in my lifetime. As a summary statement to this, I have about 750 YouTubes out there. I've been doing it for not quite 3 years yet, and every single day, 25 to 30 people go to my YouTube library and they watch a video. So something happens positively every single day with it, and that's all that I care. That's all that I care. Do I make money doing my YouTubes? No. I make zero doing my YouTubes. But I've created a library of information about small business and about entrepreneurship that I will put up against any library in this country. And if all I do is motivate one person a day to start a business, to grow their business, to improve their business, I have succeeded for that day. And I can say with confidence, every single day, somebody who watches one of my YouTubes, something good happens. Challenge me on it!
Can I report on the 10 things that you have put there?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Listening. Yeah. 2 more things. Follow up. One thing that salespeople don't do a very good job with is follow up, and that follow up is not necessarily, did you get my email? Did you read it? No, that's not a very good follow up. A good follow up is to provide more information than you did the last time. Something new, something more dynamic, something that's going to get the attention. Not, did you read it? Don't ask that question. It's a waste of time. So follow up with good information. And finally, profit. Let me read this one. The discipline of profit ensures that you make enough money to successfully deliver to your clients and that you have enough left over to develop greater levels of value in the future. It's a good definition of profit, but I'm going to add something to this definition of profit. I believe, I don't know if Anthony believes it or not, but I believe that every single client that you have has to be able to stand on their own to create a profit. All too often, small business folks and large business folks, they mass all the clients together and say they generated this amount of sales and our company has this amount of expenses, so we have a profit, we have a loss, whatever those numbers show. And that's fine. That's fine. That's very, very basic. I believe that each client that you have, each customer that you have, has to be able to stand on their own. I didn't truly believe this. Well, I started believing this back in the early 90s. I was doing a lot of work with a large multi-billion-dollar corporation. And one day, the director of marketing or the director of sales, they were different folks. They weren't integrated. They came out with a statement that henceforth, now and forever, this company will only take customers that spend this amount of money. And they have done their studies to find out what this amount of money meant. And I said, why would you want to drop off, maybe millions of dollars of business? And his answer was very simple. And the answer was that the smaller customers had the same time demands on our company that the larger companies had. No, they weren't greater. They were the same. And maybe they were great. Maybe they were greater, the time demands that the smaller companies had. Spending less money. So there's going to be less chance for profit in those kinds of situations. So they just eliminated one and maybe two layers of customers. But you know what? It worked. The company became more profitable. They grew their sales, but what they were doing, they were going back to the same customers and expanding the amount of business that they had with those customers. That makes a lot of sense because your existing customers are your best prospects for future sales. They know what you're doing. They know how you do it. You know what? If you're looking to expand your product line, your service line, the first person you should ask is your customer. What is it that I could provide for you that I'm not doing today that will help your business grow, that will bring more value to your business, that will give you a greater return on your investment dollars? Ask your customers. Don't come up with this dream that you've got the answer. Your customer is going to give you every answer that you need. They will. Trust me on that one. I've had a lot of customers over the years, a lot of customers. And my first question that I would always ask would be from that customer. What can I do better? What can I do in addition to what I am doing? They will give you more business before they start doing business with somebody new. I promise you that. And you know what? They will be customers for life. They will be customers for life. Unless you really screw up and do something bad. Okay, those are 10 things you need to do. Real quickly, I want to get on to a second article here. And I'm not going to have a whole lot of comment on these. 5 don'ts to do on a sales call. The reason I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this is basically done for offline businesses, not really necessarily online businesses. The way that we do business online is dramatically different than the way we do business offline, where we don't necessarily leave our office, go knock on somebody's door, go visit with them in their office, in their building, in their store, whatever it might be. Replacing that is the greatest tool of efficiency I've ever seen, and that's the Hangout. You have the same effect in a Hangout because you can visualize, you can look, you can watch how your customer is reacting to what it is that you're talking about. Are they paying attention? and it can be done, and it's done absolutely more efficiently. In the 90s, I used to travel all over the United States, and occasionally I left the United States to go to the UK. I visited twice on business. If we had had HOAs or Hangout, not HOAs, but Hangouts in those days, I would not have done as much traveling. I traveled 35, 40% of my life. I was traveling. Who wants to do that? It wears out after a while. But we could more efficiently do business. It's a great way to cut the cost of a sales call. I mean, it's cut the cost of a sales call in many cases 100%. The only thing that's the same is time, but the time spent is more efficient time. It's way more efficient time. There's no wait time. There's no downtime. It's all happening. Okay. 5 things. What? I don't know what happened. I can only find 2 of them. Wait a second. Don't be late. That's a good lesson to be learned. Anything. Don't be late. If you've got a 2 o'clock appointment, even if it's an HOA, be ready to go at 2 o'clock. Now, in the world of Hangouts, you've got the technology factor. As I did today, I started late today because there was a technology issue, and that's, people accept that. People accept that because we all have technology issues. Not all the time. Too much of the time, Vivek? We all have technology issues. So they're forgiven. They're forgiven in the world of today, just because everybody is subject to them. Don't dress improperly. That's an interesting one. A lot of companies have guidelines for how you should dress if you're leaving your office. I've been fortunate my entire life to be a solopreneur and only leaving my office when I want to. And when I left my office in the 90s, when I left my office, many of the times I had a coat and tie on. Not because I wanted to, because the company that I was working with wanted me to look that way. But it wasn't too long after that, sometime in the 90s, business casual became an acceptable means of presenting yourself in a business meeting. You know where business casual probably started, Vivek? I'm going to tell you a cute story. You know where it probably started? Right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. You know why I say that? Procter & Gamble.
Mm-hmm.
You know who they are.
Yeah.
They are the leading consumer products company.
Oh, David. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you, but
You can't see me. I see my profile pictures there.
yeah.
There's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that, and it's too late to try to do anything. I was saying right here in Cincinnati, it was probably Procter & Gamble who came up with a concept of business casual. And guess what happened when they did that? They manufacture soap. Okay, so when they came to business casual, people probably were going to wash more of their business clothes rather than necessarily go to the dry cleaners. And so they saw a huge impact in soap sales to business people. Because there wasn't maybe, and guess what they did? Not at that same time. It took them about 15 years, but about 15 years after that, they came up with a franchise concept of dry cleaners, using their soap products to use in these dry cleaning places.
Yeah. By any chance, your camera is muted?
Let's see. No, the Hangout is not detecting my camera. So there's a crash of some sort. A reset would probably fix it. But I'm not going to reset. It's too late to reset.
Yeah.
They'll have to look at you and my profile picture. What can I say? It's not the worst thing in the world, Vivek. Well, we're just talking about technology and how technology doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
They can
yeah. Well, one of the things I think probably you need to address at some point is we used to think that it was your bandwidth issue, but I don't think that's the case anymore. It's your computer issue.
I didn't want to hear that, but I knew that's what you were going to say. Did not want to hear that, but I knew you were going to say it. And
it's not because I would like to say that. No.
No, really, what I do, and I told you this last week, and I did not do it. And I told you I was going to do it. What I have to do is figure out how to get my webcam, my Logitech webcam, which I love. It's a good camera. Get it working on my Chromebook. If I can get it working on my Chromebook, problem solved. So I got to start fooling around with that. Okay, point number 3. Don't do all the talking. Actually, we said that earlier. Listening, how important listening is. On a sales call, don't actually do the least amount of talking between you and your client. Let the client do the talking. You do the listening.
Did you see the comment that I put on the comment stream?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a nugget from sales training that I had. Now you, since you are the master, you tell me later on. Okay. The nugget is a prospect who is listening very attentively is not a prospect at all.
Ooh. I'll have to read what that's all about so I can get a definition of the terms. I don't. Well, initially I don't agree with the concept, but I want to read.
No, but he or she, the prospective client, is listening because you are talking.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. I see. Yes. Thank you for correcting me. Very good point. See, you're okay, Vivek. You know what's going on. You are an engineer, and you're a damn good engineer.
Yeah, and for your first question, those 10 points, I discovered or found out that of the 10 points, I think I need to improve on 4. Other 6, I'm okay.
Okay, well, we'll talk. You and I will talk about it. Let's talk about it, and we'll maybe do it in the event stream to get some information going there. Let me finish up real quickly. Number 4, I love it. Don't bash the competition. I never talk about the competition unless the person sitting across the table forces me to talk about the competition. I don't do it. Period. A lot of people don't agree with me about this, but I absolutely do not talk about the competition. And if I am asked about the competition, I will give the most evasive answer I can possibly give. I don't want to talk about. Why do I want to talk about the competition? I have no control over the competition. I only have control over what I do, what I can do, what I can deliver. I can't comment on what the competition does because it doesn't matter. They do what they do. I do what I do. Okay, don't be overconfident. Good point. And overconfident is going to look differently with different folks. Always assume. Take the prospect, take the client to the next level. Assume that they're going to go there with you. But as soon as you get real overconfident with it, it's not going to work. Okay, one last one of the things I like to talk about, Vivek. I think you'll enjoy this. It actually happened to me. It actually happened to me with a very, very, very large client. One of the largest clients I've ever had. We had a good rapport going. We had a good discussion going. And I told the client, I quietly went over, I shut the door to the office, and I said, I'm not leaving this office till you sign this contract. That got pretty serious, didn't it? It doesn't. I don't recommend that as a way to close a sale. I do not recommend it, but it worked for me. It absolutely worked. But it's that's a sign of overconfidence.
It's a possibly it does mean that you did have great rapport with the person you were talking to, and
yes.
And he or she was the decision maker, so it's the right probably the right thing to do.
Oh no, you do it with a decision maker. You have to do it with the decision maker, nobody else, and you have to do it. You have to have good rapport with whom you're doing. You can't. It doesn't work on a first time meeting necessarily. I'm trying to remember if mine was a first time meeting or not. Okay, the one question that we didn't talk about today at all, but it's a very simple answer, and you must consider it in your 2015 planning if you're not doing it today. And we talk a lot about it on an everyday basis. You see it on an everyday basis. Do you know how simple it is to integrate video into your marketing? The answer is, if you don't know how simple it is, ask Vivek. He'll tell you how simple it is. Ask me. I'll tell you how simple it is. Not only will we tell you how simple it is, we'll show you. We'll show you how simple it is, and you must do it. More and more and more video is coming into marketing because people like to, that's how they like to communicate, that visual kind of thing. They want to be entertained. If they have to read something, first they have to read it. They have to understand what it is that they're reading. And those are challenges.
Yeah, but when you say video, I have heard a couple of people saying that okay, we need a video, but then they say that video producing a video itself costs a lot of money, time, effort, etc., etc. And that's where they feel it's a bit too much.
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it because I produce it very simply. I'm not concerned with the highest quality video. I am more concerned with the content. If the content isn't there, it doesn't matter what kind of quality of video you have if the content isn't there.
Is that, I think you are participating in a HOA, I think it's tomorrow, right, with Phil Boyer.
Yes.
And he's the one who breaks the rules. And I think one of the rules of video marketing which needs to be broken, if you can see what I mean there, needs to be broken is it has to be of great quality. That rule has to be broken.
I agree with you 1,000%. Great quality and lousy content won't sell.
Yeah.
Good content and not so good quality or not the best quality of video will sell. Period. Let me tell you, it works. I'm the living example. I don't strive for the highest quality of video. You can't even see my video right now. You know it's out there, but you can't see it. Okay. We've gone longer than typically I like to go, but I wanted to cover the points. We'll take the best points and break them down and get more concentrated. I don't know. I have to look at my calendar really to tell you what's going on tomorrow because I'm participating in 3 HOAs tomorrow. I will do my own. This will answer the three more questions tomorrow in a 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time HOA. At noon, I have my friend Phil Boyer coming on an HOA that I'm going to be producing, and Phil is going to talk about his new book that is coming out. Phil is a very engaging kind of person. His theme is breaking the rules in marketing, but it's not just for the sake of breaking the rules. And Phil will explain. I'll make him explain what that actually means. And then at 2:30, you heard earlier that I'm participating on the panel in an HOA that William Rock is doing, Internet Security. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a couple hundred people watching tomorrow because he knows what he's talking about. It's not just, he knows, but he's also bringing some expert sources of information on to share that. So we'll see that tomorrow. Folks in our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus community, thank you for taking time to view this video. I hope that you will that you've gotten something of value from it. If you haven't, please let me know. Please let me know that I missed the mark someplace as far as you're concerned. I didn't include information that you need and want. Challenge me with that. Whatever your concern might be, please let me know. You can do it in the event stream. You can personally ping me. I'm online virtually all day long, and pretty easy and convenient to reach. Vivek, thank you for taking your time today. I know you got some value out of the discussion today because you and I have been talking about in our own one-to-one discussions about some of these things. And looking forward, when is your next HOA?
Next HOA would be next Monday. So I did watch a couple of HOAs even today. There was one where Stefan, who we talked to yesterday, Stefan Thomas and Lee Rickler, they were in a UK business hangout. So
send me a link, would you?
Yeah.
I would like to use it because I just met him personally yesterday, obviously, in your HOA. But I've gone back and forth in event stream discussion with Lee. He and I went at it one time last week on something that was said or done, and we had a good time with it. But it was really enjoyable for me to meet him. I'm sure that because of our face-to-face HOA meetings yesterday with them, we'll all become good friends.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how it works here in Google Plus.
Yes.
Okay, folks, thank you for your time. I will see you tomorrow. Well, you can't even see me, so you got to hear me. Tomorrow may very well be the best time, and we'll see you then.